Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Ready to jump into the world of AI and see what's been making headlines this week?
Absolutely. Should be a fascinating look at where things are headed.
You bet. We've got a ton of updates from product launches and research findings to some pretty big business moves and even potential international implications. We're talking about the whole spectrum of AI news. Our mission, as always, is to break down the most significant and interesting developments and try to understand what they mean for the future.
I'm ready when you are. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the foundation of it all: AI security and infrastructure. It looks like Cloudflare is making waves with the launch of Cloudflare for AI, a new set of security tools. This seems specifically designed to protect AI model deployment, data, and integrity. What makes this kind of security so crucial right now?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the word specifically. It's not just about protecting data anymore. It's about protecting the AI models themselves.
Oh, I see what you mean. So it's not just about keeping the data safe from hackers. It's about keeping the AI from being tampered with or corrupted.
Exactly. These models are complex, they rely on huge amounts of data, and they're vulnerable to attacks that could compromise their entire function. Cloudflare's move here signals a major shift in how we think about AI security. As AI becomes more deeply embedded in business operations, this kind of specialized protection is only going to get more important.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of how AI is moving into the real world,
Yeah.
we've got MedAI, a startup from Taiwan. They're going to be showing off their AI-powered controller simulator at NVIDIA GTC 2025.
Mm.
This sounds like AI stepping right into industrial automation, and that brings up some interesting possibilities.
This is where things start to get really interesting. What we're seeing here is the convergence of what we call operational technology, or OT, with information technology, IT. Think of it as the physical world of machinery and processes meeting the digital world of information and control systems.
And AI is the bridge between those two worlds.
Precisely. AI has the ability to simulate and optimize complex industrial processes. We're talking about huge potential for making industries more efficient, predicting maintenance needs before problems arise, and even designing completely new automation solutions.
It's like AI is going to be running the factories of the future.
In a lot of ways, yes. And MedAI Simulator gives us a very real example of how this is going to play out.
I'm starting to get a picture of just how big this AI thing really is. And it's not just in the technology itself, it's in the sheer amount of resources being poured into it.
Mm.
I mean, the AI boom is driving this enormous demand for data centers, especially in Asia, and it's leading to some massive loan deals.
Those loan deals are a clear indicator of the scale of investment we're talking about. Remember, all those fancy algorithms and AI models need a place to live, and that place is a data center. The infrastructure required to power this AI growth is staggering.
And it sounds like AI is becoming part of the solution too, right? And we're seeing AI being integrated into data center operations in
Right.
2025. So it's almost like AI is being used to manage the very systems that support it.
It's a bit of a mind bender, isn't it? AI managing AI. But it makes perfect sense if you think about it. AI can optimize things like cooling systems, power consumption, even predict hardware failures. All of this becomes absolutely critical as the demands on our digital infrastructure continue to explode.
So it's all about keeping things running smoothly and efficiently. Now let's zoom in a bit and talk about AI hardware, because there's a lot happening in that space, and it's getting pretty competitive. Furiosa AI, a South Korean chip startup, reportedly turned down a huge acquisition offer. We're talking $800 million from Meta. That's a bold move. What do you think is going on there?
They're playing for keeps, that's for sure. Furiosa AI is developing some pretty innovative neural network processing units. My guess is they believe their technology is so groundbreaking that they can achieve a much higher valuation down the line. They're not just looking to be part of a bigger company. They want to be a major player in their own right.
It's like they see a massive wave coming, and they're determined to ride it to the top. And this whole AI chip race is playing out on an international stage, too. I mean, Malaysia is apparently planning to tighten regulations on the flow of NVIDIA chips. The word on the street is that this is due to pressure from the U.S. to prevent these super advanced semiconductors from ending up in China. Talk about geopolitics.
This is a prime example of how AI technology is becoming a strategic asset on the global stage. Advanced AI chips are crucial for everything from military applications to economic competitiveness. The U.S. is clearly concerned about China gaining access to this cutting-edge technology, and Malaysia is finding itself caught in the middle of this high-stakes tug-of-war.
Meanwhile, Ant Group, the company backed by Jack Ma, is claiming a pretty big AI breakthrough using Chinese-made chips. They're saying they can potentially reduce AI model training costs by a whopping 20%. If this is true, what does it mean for China's ambitions in AI?
Well, if Ant Group's claim holds water, this could be a game changer. Lower training costs would make AI development more accessible to a wider range of companies and researchers in China. That could accelerate their progress significantly and reduce their dependence on foreign chip technology.
It's like a double win.
Yeah.
They advance their AI capabilities and become more self-sufficient at the same time. But even the big players like NVIDIA aren't standing still. It looks like they're embracing optical chip technology. Now, this is initially for their networking chips, not their main GPUs. What's the thinking behind this?
This is a classic example of a company playing the long game. Optical networking offers some exciting advantages in terms of speed and energy efficiency, especially when it comes to transferring huge amounts of data within AI systems. But it's still relatively new, so NVIDIA is taking a measured approach. By implementing it first in their networking chips, they can test it thoroughly before rolling it out to their core products.
It's like a test drive before they commit to the full upgrade. But it looks like not everything is running perfectly smoothly in NVIDIA land. There are reports of some older graphics cards crashing after a recent driver update. Specifically, this seems to be happening after the update that added support for the new RTX 50 series cards. Some folks are saying this is NVIDIA prioritizing new hardware over older systems.
This is a classic dilemma in the tech world. As companies push forward with new products, it can be tough to ensure that everything works perfectly with older generations. These kinds of compatibility issues can be a real pain for users, and they often raise questions about how companies manage the lifespan of their products.
So it's a balancing act between innovation and supporting existing customers. Now let's look at the competition between AMD and NVIDIA. Some recent benchmarks comparing their latest high-end cards, AMD's Radeon RX 9070 XT and NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 5070 Ti in 50 games, show that AMD is actually outselling NVIDIA in the early going. What does this tell us about the current GPU market?
This is a really interesting development. These benchmarks, and especially those early sales figures, suggest that AMD is delivering a compelling combination of price and performance. They're putting real pressure on NVIDIA, who may need to adjust their pricing or come out with new offerings to stay ahead. It's a reminder that this is a very dynamic market and the competition is fierce.
And let's not forget that this competition in the GPU market has implications for AI development too, right?
Mhm.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about AI software and models. This is where we see the really cool applications starting to emerge. OpenAI is making waves with their new audio models. The big news is that these models are designed to make AI agents sound much more human-like. Why is that level of realism in AI voices so important?
Because it's all about breaking down the barriers between humans and machines. The more natural and realistic AI sounds, the easier it is for people to interact with it. Think about AI assistants, virtual companions, even tools for education and accessibility. A human-like voice makes all the difference in terms of how comfortable and natural these interactions feel.
So it's about making technology feel less like technology and more like, well, a conversation with another person.
Exactly. The goal is to make that communication as seamless as possible.
On a similar note, Baidu has announced 2 new versions of its AI model, Ernie. This looks like continued progress in the development of large language models, particularly within China. What's the significance of this ongoing development?
This is all about the global race to create the most powerful and capable language models. These models are the foundation for a huge range of AI applications, from chatbots and translation tools to content creation and personalized learning. Baidu's advancements with Ernie demonstrate that China is a serious contender in this field, and they're investing heavily in staying ahead of the curve.
And it looks like Claude is stepping up its game too. The big news is that it now has web search capabilities. That sounds like a pretty big deal.
It's a huge expansion of Claude's functionality. Now we can access and process real-time information from the web, which makes it much more useful for research, answering questions about current events, and basically any task that requires up-to-date knowledge. It's becoming a much more versatile and competitive AI assistant.
It's like it's gone from a library to the entire internet. Speaking of the real world, we've got some interesting data from a recent survey of software engineers. The results show that a large majority of them have actually tried using AI tools in their work, but there's a pretty even split between those who are optimistic about AI's impact and those who are more pessimistic. It also looks like freelancers are adopting AI tools more readily than those working in traditional employment settings, and a good number of employers are actually paying for these tools. What's your take on this snapshot of AI in the software development world?
This is a fascinating look at how AI is being integrated into one of the most important sectors of the tech industry. The high rate of trial and experimentation with AI tools suggests that developers see real potential for improving their work, whether it's through increased efficiency or help with solving complex coding challenges.
It's like they're recognizing that AI can be a powerful ally in their work.
Exactly. But the mixed feelings about its long-term impact are also telling. This reflects a broader societal debate about how AI will change the nature of work and the skills that will be most valued in the future. The higher adoption rate among freelancers might indicate that they're more open to trying new tools to gain a competitive advantage, but it could also be driven by necessity.
And the fact that employers are willing to pay for these tools shows that they're taking this shift seriously. It's not just a passing fad, it's a real investment in the future of their workforce. Now, let's talk about Docker. They're known for their work in containerization, and now they're moving into the AI space. The news is that they're going to allow users to run large language models, those LLMs we keep hearing about, like standard containers. How is this going to change the game?
Docker is basically making it much easier for developers and organizations to work with these powerful AI models. Containerization has huge advantages in terms of portability, scalability, and ease of deployment. It means that developers can focus on building and integrating these models into their applications without having to worry about all the underlying infrastructure.
So it's like simplifying the toolkit and making it more accessible to a wider range of people. And that's something we're seeing across the board in AI, right? It's not just about building the technology, it's about making it usable and impactful. And on that note, there's a really inspiring development in the area of accessibility. Researchers have developed an AI app designed to help speech-impaired users communicate more naturally.
This is a fantastic example of how AI can be used to improve people's lives in very real and meaningful ways. For individuals who struggle with speech, this kind of technology can be truly transformative. It gives them a voice and helps them connect with the world in a way that might not have been possible before.
It's like giving someone the ability to express themselves freely. That's incredibly powerful. Now let's talk about something a little more down to earth. Fast food. I know it seems like a jump, but even the fast food industry is getting in on the AI action. Yum Brands, the parent company of Taco Bell, is partnering with NVIDIA to explore using AI for taking drive-through orders. What's driving this trend towards automation in everyday services?
It's all about efficiency and potentially reducing labor costs. The fast food industry is constantly looking for ways to streamline its operations and improve customer service. AI offers the potential to take orders more accurately and efficiently, and it could even personalize the ordering experience based on customer preferences.
So maybe one day we'll be ordering our tacos from an AI-powered chatbot.
It's definitely a possibility. And it raises some interesting questions about the future of work and the role of human interaction in these everyday transactions. Now let's shift to a topic that's been generating a lot of discussion: data rights and intellectual property in the age of AI. The Atlantic has launched a new tool that lets users check if their work has been used to train AI models.
That's a pretty cool tool, but it also points to a growing concern among creators, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of debate about how AI models are trained and whether creators have any control over how their work is used in that process. This tool is a step towards greater transparency, and it could lead to further discussions and even legal developments around copyright and data ownership in the AI era.
So it's all about who owns the data and who has the right to use it. Now let's talk about Apple. They're always up to something interesting, and the latest rumor is that they're exploring the possibility of adding AI-powered cameras to their Apple Watch and AirPods. What kind of world does that open up?
This is a natural progression as AI becomes more sophisticated and miniaturized hardware continues to evolve. Imagine wearables that can recognize objects, understand their context, and even capture images hands-free. This could lead to all sorts of cool applications in areas like health and fitness tracking, navigation, augmented reality, and who knows what else.
It's like giving our wearables a whole new level of awareness. Speaking of social media, Meta is testing a new feature for Instagram that would suggest AI-generated comments for users' photos. That's an interesting and maybe slightly creepy application of AI.
This one definitely raises some questions about the authenticity of online interactions. While the intention might be to encourage engagement, it also blurs the line between human-generated and AI-generated content. It's a reminder that as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to be mindful of how it's shaping our perceptions and influencing our behaviors.
It's like AI is becoming a participant in the conversation, and we need to figure out what that means for us. On a more practical note, Vodafone is making some waves with its use of LangChain and LangGraph. They're basically transforming their data operations with AI-powered chatbots, using them for things like performance monitoring and information retrieval. This seems like a great example of AI being put to work in a large organization.
This is a classic example of how AI can streamline complex processes and improve efficiency within a large enterprise. Managing huge amounts of data is a major challenge for any company, and Vodafone is showing how AI can be used to make that data more accessible and actionable. Their chatbots can quickly provide employees with the information they need, which helps them make better decisions and solve problems more effectively.
It's like having an AI assistant that can instantly answer any question about the company's data. Now, let's jump over to the film industry. There's a Swedish movie coming out soon that's using some pretty innovative AI-powered dubbing. Apparently, it aims for perfect lip sync with the actors, which is pretty impressive.
This is a really cool development that shows how AI is changing the game in creative fields. Accurate lip syncing in dubbed films can make a huge difference in the viewing experience, and it opens up the possibility of making international cinema more accessible to a wider audience.
It's like breaking down language barriers in a whole new way. And finally, let's talk about a study involving experts from Procter& Gamble. Their findings suggest that individuals using AI can actually perform as well as traditional two-person teams. That's a pretty bold statement.
This is a potentially revolutionary finding that suggests AI can act as a powerful force multiplier for individual workers. It raises some really big questions about how companies organize teams and how they leverage AI tools to enhance individual capabilities.
So it's not just about replacing human workers. It's about empowering them to do more with the help of AI. As you can see, the AI landscape is incredibly dynamic and rapidly evolving. We've covered everything from the foundational infrastructure and the competitive landscape of AI chips to the expanding applications of AI and software in various industries. And we've even touched on some of the broader societal and ethical questions that AI raises.
What's clear from all of this is that AI is no longer just a theoretical concept. It's a real force shaping the world around us. It's changing how we work, how we communicate, how we create, and how we solve problems.
And it's moving fast. This deep dive into the latest AI news should give you a good sense of what's happening and where things might be headed. We hope it sparked your curiosity and maybe even got you thinking about how these rapid advancements might impact your own work and life. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
Until next time.
See you then.